Hi guys, yes, it's me. And it does seem like a long time ago that I was sitting in front of a camera recording a video. And this is just going to be a short video. It's going to be some of my ramblings around what's been happening in the world of FM25. And there's been a lot going on and there's been a lot said. And also I'll use this as an update in terms of my health and where I am in terms of the surgery that I've recently undergone. And it was a difficult surgery, and they do underestimate, I think, pre the operation. They underestimate the time that it's going to take to recover and the processes that you have to go through in the recovery itself. And whilst my heart seems to be performing very, very well, and I'm very impressed with how my heart is performing, there are, even 6 weeks on, some things that need to catch up, and in particular my lungs. And also during the operation there was a lot of stress placed on the arms and shoulders in terms of where they positioned them. This stretches the nerves and ligaments, and that causes problems, and it's come out in my hands, which don't particularly work well at the moment. There's a lot of pain that goes on from time to time, even now 6 weeks on, and we are managing that, I would say. But I think they do deliberately underestimate the time that it takes to recover from this. I think that given another 6 weeks, I'm going to be perfectly fine. And I really am looking forward to going on holiday come end of January, where I will be able to have a really nice break. And then that will tie in with coming back in time for the release of FM25. Maybe. And the title of this video, Does What We Think Matter?, raises the question of who am I talking about? When I use the word we, who am I talking about? And to understand who we are and whether then we matter or not, I think we have to understand and think about where the game is going and what FM25 and the launch of this new platform and the work that's gone on with Unity, what does it mean in terms of the future of the game? And if we understand where the game is going, then we'll start to understand who we are and why what we think might not matter. I'm one of those who's been playing the game for a very, very long time, 15 years in fact, but that still makes me a novice. And compared to those who possibly playing 30 years, they've been a very, very loyal bunch of people. They took this game on when it came out, and they've been with it through years of change, and eventually it's come up to now, maybe 30 years or so later. And they have announced, the studio have announced that it is the end of the current game, the current way of playing it. And we knew that, they've already told us that, and that teaming up with Unity now, they were going to be changing the game, what they think is for the better. And by that, by teaming up with Unity, it means that we're going to have this great brand new graphics engine. And that's something that people, in all fairness to SI, that is something that people have been shouting about for a long, long time. We want better graphics. For a long time, I guess for about 10 years now, we've been saying this is the modern era of games, and we demand, we need better graphics in the 3D game engine, and we need to make the game more attractive. And then if you make the game more attractive, you're going to get more people on board, you're going to have more people buying the game and playing the game, and that's got to be a win-win situation for everyone. However, part of putting an emphasis on better graphics has, in my opinion, it has a knock-on effect. And by upping the graphics, it does mean that it's possible that it won't be able to be played on a PC. And I think that by the time we get to FM30, then we might be seeing the situation where we've got this FM30 console game, which is also available for PC. And we're going to move in that direction until also available for PC doesn't exist anymore, because the better that the graphics engine becomes, then the less playable it's going to become on PC. And so yes, we've got to move with the times. And SI have seen this brand new audience out there, this younger audience who are itching to get hold of Football Manager, But I also know that the younger audience don't have the patience that the older generations of Football Manager players have. And my feeling is that they need much more emphasis on how pretty it looks, how great the gameplay looks, rather than the fiddly bits that we've traditionally got involved in. And so I'm thinking this game is going to become basically buy the best players, put in a nice tactic, and then you're going to win trophies. And they're going to take out most of all the data and the statistics, all the things that traditionally made all of us oldies love the game so much, the immersing ourselves in the stats. And I think a lot of that is probably going to disappear over the next 5 or 10 years. So when all this began a couple of weeks ago, the first announcement that Football Manager 25 was going to be delayed, it was only a delay until the end of November. And there was a lot of things at that time being said, a lot of disappointment and a lot of anger being shown. But I was kind of sitting back and thinking, this is only for 4 weeks. And what can you do in 4 weeks? Why delay it for 4 weeks? You can't do much. And basically I was thinking that all they were going to do is tidy up the loose ends, make it look a little bit better, just trim off the rough edges, that it was almost ready to go out, not quite, another 4 weeks they'd get it right. And I wasn't really particularly worried about anything at all. Only the last announcement has got me a little bit worried and got me thinking on a different level now. And where is the game going to go from here? Now, my immediate thoughts are they are just in trouble. But are they in that much trouble that 4 months is actually going to give them enough time to sort it out? And I think that 4 months is neither here nor there. I still don't think that it is going to be ready in 4 months' time. There's been a lot of speculation about whether or not it's to do with financial stuff and the end of the fiscal year. It's about whether or not they have to get a game out by the end of March in order to please the sponsors and the owners and all the rest of the people who have a vested interest in the game. Or I tend to think that there's probably not going to be a game until August. And maybe the end of August, beginning of September is when it might be that we might see FM25. And that because it is a new era of the game, we are going to see FM25 covering the season 25-26. So traditionally FM25 would cover the season 25. Now it's going to cover 25 and 26. And by releasing it at the end of August, beginning of September, they're waiting for the transfer window to close and then release the game. And you've got a lot more of the coming season available. Traditionally, when it's released in November, you miss 3 months of the season. And maybe my thinking is they are going to bring this back and release it in August. So whether or not there's going to be a game at the end of March, I really don't think so. If you can't complete this game in 4 weeks, is 4 months going to be enough in order to complete it? And the reason why I'm talking about this is we have seen very, very little. In terms of communication, this has been very, very poor in terms of the performance from the studio. They've allowed us no information. And I bring up the 3 or 4 screenshots that they've issued, and they are totally underwhelming. And they give away very, very little, in fact, nothing, except that they look very console style. And so the only clue that we've got, the only thing that we've got is that it is moving towards becoming a console game. And therefore, the we that I'm talking about are us who've played on it for years as a PC game. And what we think now really doesn't matter. And that's the audience that is complaining at the moment. And the audience that they are going to target, the console gamers, are an audience they don't yet know, who are not complaining, and they don't care whether it comes out in March or August or even a year later after that. The people who are complaining are the people who've been loyal over the last 20 or 30 years and now suddenly feel that they're being let down. But as I said, what we think really doesn't matter now as we move into a new era of Football Manager gaming. There is a huge audience out there. We are a limited audience for the studio. There is a huge potential audience out there, including what we do know is women's football is coming into the game, and there must be a huge amount of women hoping to get involved and in the game and playing the game of Football Manager. And so by releasing women's football at the same time as this brand new engine, this is hopefully for the game producers going to get a greater number of people in just through the female participants that they're going to pick up. So we, as a bunch of people who've played this game for years, as a spreadsheet game, which it always was, we don't really have a voice over the coming years, I don't think. And we are just going to have to move with the times or stop playing. I personally think whether or not I remain playing, whether I remain a fanatic of Football Manager, will depend upon how much they take out. And we already know that they're taking a few things out in its very first appearance. We know, for example, that the data chalkboard has been taken out. International football isn't going to be there. The shouts are gone. The social media parts have gone. All small changes, but put a lot of small changes together, then it makes a big difference. And if you start taking things out, where does it end? And they're going to, I think, take more and more of the data out of the game. It's going to invest more time and effort into the graphics of the game and into the 3D engine, and they're going to make it a lot prettier. It's going to become really a good simulation of football, and less emphasis on the managing of the football team as let's make it look pretty, let's make it the best looking game that we can possibly do. Now, this might seem slightly controversial, and I've thought long and hard about this. In my condition at the moment, I have a lot of time to do a lot of thinking, and I can't understand why they think that in 4 months this game is going to be ready to go out. When they've had 1.5 years, maybe 2 years already, why do they think that 4 months is going to be enough? There's obviously major problems in switching this over from the old engine that they built themselves to this new Unity platform. And I'm not a software developer and I don't know anything about it, but I guess you can't just copy the code, copy and paste it over to the new engine and everything works fine. And I guess that they realized very quickly that they perhaps didn't allow themselves enough time to move from one engine to the other. And is 4 months going to be enough when they've had 2 years already? When they told us 4 weeks was going to be enough, I don't know, and I don't think so. And I think there's going to be more delays. And my guess is that we're going to see a game coming out end of August, early September, after the transfer window. This gives them a lot more time, and then hopefully it will be ready by then. And the season 25-26 will be the first season that they cover in FM25. It just makes sense to me to release the game in early September, just after the transfer window has closed. And that gives them a lot more time, and it would ensure that the game comes out as a finished article, rather than a rushed article which might come out or not come out at the end of March. And it would make also sense to start the season earlier, start season 25-26 earlier and still in you know what I mean, in September, rather than having to wait until November before we can start season 25-26. Missing this will not bankrupt them financially. Deals can be done and they will financially find a way out. And I think that they are doing their best to get the game out as quickly as possible. I also think that there's a little bit of deception going on. I think that they are trying to get it out, but deep down I think they know that they're not going to be able to. For me, it doesn't particularly matter. I'm enjoying 24, and there's a lot more that I want to explore within 24. I wouldn't like to see 24 going into 25, but if that's the way it is, then that's the way it is. But however long it takes them, I'm going to buy Football Manager 25. Of course, I'm going to buy it. I'm as curious as hell. I need to know how it's going to develop, and I'm going to buy it over the next, especially over the next 5 years. I want to see how they're going to develop this, even if it's not going in the way that I want it to go. Then I do need to see it in how they are going to progress this great game that I've played for the last 15 years. And if it goes in a way that I don't want it to go in, because I'm never going to buy a console, not at my age, and just play the one game on it. If it goes in that direction, then that's the direction it goes in. I'm a small channel and I'm not dependent on Football Manager to make a living. And the money that I actually do make from YouTube really doesn't fill up my bank account at all. Barely buys me a cup of coffee at the end of the month. So I could stop playing the game. I don't want to stop playing the game. I've loved playing it, and I'm going to go on playing it, but whether I play it on YouTube is another matter. That also might come down to health as well. I think that for me it is moving out of the realms and the territory that I've enjoyed playing it. It will be also available for PC, but it is going to become a console game. And the words that have been used, the phrases that have been used around it becoming a console game are ease of access. In other words, they want to make it much more user-friendly, and I can remember opening it up in the very early years and seeing all this data, this massive page after page of data and more data and more data. I think that's a scary thing for a new user. They don't want people going through that probation period of 3 or 4 years anymore. They want it to be much more user-friendly when people open it up. They want to attract people and keep them inside the game once they've got them in there. I guess they lost a lot of people, maybe 50%, who knows, who just couldn't fathom out and work their way through the amount of data. Must have caused so many people to leave the game. And I guess they don't want that to happen when they're looking at future generations of game players. And the fact that they are making the game a much prettier, much more user... What's the word I'm looking for? Well, let's just call it a nicer game to look at. A much more aesthetic. Aesthetic is the word I'm looking for. Let's make it a much more aesthetic player. Let's make the match play look as realistic as possible. And then we can do away with some of the boring management stuff that these people have trawled through for years in order to get results out of the match engine. And whichever way it goes, I'm going to continue playing it. And we're certainly going to be doing FM25 as a YouTube experience. Whether or not we go on after that, as I said, is down to how the game progresses, how I like it, and of course, my health as well. But yeah, that's been a strange video to make. It's been the ramblings of an old gentleman who has played the game for a long time and wasn't too concerned a month ago about a slight delay, but is now becoming very concerned about what is happening to this game that he's played for a very, very long time. And I do hope that SI will reassure me and say I am completely wrong in terms of what I am thinking, and not to worry at all, because this great game of Football Manager is never going to leave the realms of being a manager game, that it's not going to just become a series of pretty pictures for people to enjoy, but that management aspect of the game, which I fear will be whittled away over the years. I hope they're going to tell me, no, you're so wrong. It's always going to be there. I hope so. And if you have reached this far and you have been watching the ramblings of this old gentleman trying to figure out what he's on about, I hope that it's given you something to think about. I don't think that we're going to get a game until maybe September of 25. Let me know what you think in the comments. I really am anxious to find out what your views are on this. Some of you have been playing this game for a lot longer than I have, and your views are much more pertinent than mine are. So I do hope you will comment. Let me know what you think. Has anything that I've said given you some food for thought? Do you have any other ideas? Do you think I'm on the right track or completely way off piste here? I'm going to give it up now. If you are brand new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, click the bell, and you'll be updated when we start again after this dreadful surgery that I've been through, when we do begin again to upload videos. And while you're there, give us a like, because likes and comments help to drive the algorithm to push my channel out to people who've not yet had a chance to have a look at some of my videos. I'm going to leave it there. It's mainly ramblings, but I think that there's some truth in what I've been saying. And all that remains to be said now is stay safe, take care, and very, very soon, I promise you, guys who've waited for so long, for 6 weeks already, I will come back and we will continue with the Newcastle Save. Thank you very much for supporting me and the channel and for keeping us alive over the last 6 weeks. I am so indebted to you all, especially the channel members, and without you there would be no Football Manager with Old Man Phil. Take care, stay safe. See you in the next one.